Good evening. In a few moments, thousands of people from across this great nation and a handful of very confused listeners overseas will gather together. Not because they have to, not because they were paid, but because they seek something that has become increasingly rare in today's world: common sense, questionable judgment, and just enough sarcasm to make Sunday night worth staying awake for. Tonight, we are reminded that podcasts come and go. Some chase trends, some interview celebrities, some spend thousands on production value. And then there is us, one microphone, one champion, and Brian. For years, we've stared into the abyss of current events and somehow found ways to make them even dumber. We've exposed hypocrisy. We've solved problems nobody asked us to solve. We've created government programs that absolutely should not exist. We've distributed imaginary billions of dollars through the Anti-Brianization Fund. And somehow, despite every prediction, we're still here. Now, there are those who say the odds are against us. They say no show can survive this much chaos. They say no co-host can miss this many opportunities to show up and still claim to be a professional. And yet, here we stand because this podcast has never depended on perfection. It has survived technical failures, internet outages, questionable trivia rulings, Brian's scheduling conflicts, Brian's illnesses, Brian's vacations, Brian's mysterious disappearances that investigators are still looking into, somehow. Against all logic, the show goes on. And tonight, we ask every member of the cult to do what you've always done. Show up, laugh, share the clips, spread the word. And when someone asks you what the Cult of Ron and Brian podcast is, tell them it is more than a podcast. It is a movement, a support group, a weekly reminder that no matter how ridiculous the world becomes, at least you are not Brian. So let history remember this night. Not as another Sunday, not as another live stream, but as the night ordinary listeners became devoted members of the cult. The night hot takes defeated common sense. The night trivia champions rose. The night excuses fell. The night Ron remained champion. And Brian, well, Brian did what Brian always does. He gave it his best effort. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves because tonight we podcast. Long live the cult.
Turn it up. Kick it in. Ron and Brian. Where the weirdness begins. Yeah. Hot takes dropping like a brick through glass. Deep cuts, dark jokes, nothing sacred on the broadcast. Coat in the comments, chanting every line. You're tuned to the truth that you'll never find online. Come on. It's the cult of Ron and Brian. If you're in, you ain't ever going quiet. Twist that dial, let the whole world hear it. Two sharp minds and a bad influence spirit. Hey, cult of Ron and Brian. Welcome to the ride, you're inside it now.
Oh, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Cult of Ron and Brian Independence Weekend Spectacular. What are we up to now, Brian? Is this episode 412 we are doing tonight, July 5th?
Yes, it is. It is 412. They said we would never make it past 411. And you know what? Tonight, as we record this, we prove the haters wrong.
Listen, it is all about America this week. Brian, you've got your American flag on display. As always, behind you, I've got my American flag hat on. We are true Americans. Also looking forward to the USA taking on Belgium tomorrow night in World Cup hockey. But we'll probably talk soccer a little bit later. Brian, are we ready to get into this show tonight?
Absolutely, and I would like to start off this week's episode by thanking all the people that reached out to me after last week's episode. I was having a little bit of a voice throat issue going on. I think it was allergies, could have been the latest strain of COVID, not really sure. My voice wasn't quite the same. The number of people that reached out via email, the phone calls I received several gift baskets from loyal listeners. I want to thank Chris. I want to thank Rich. I want to thank Mike. Anne, she sent a very nice basket. I want to thank Marty, the moderator. She reached out. All these people that sent baskets wishing me a better return to 100% health. Obviously it worked. I sound great, a little phlegmy. So if you see me cut off the mic and clear my throat, it's because I need to get back to 100%. But it is really appreciated. When I was at my low, emotionally this past week, just reading the emails from people, it was amazing just the support. So I want to thank everyone.
Well, it lifted up your spirits. And speaking of spirits, Brian, that's a great way to segue into Drink of the Week.
Well, welcome aboard. Don't spill your brew. We've got 1 cup and maybe 2. A mystery pour in a paper sleeve, the kind that makes the wise men grieve. Hey! Drink of the week, drink of the week. Raise it up, let the anchors creak. Drink of the week, drink of the week. Bottoms up for the Cult of Ron and Brian podcast.
And if you were here last episode, you know we were both drinking the same beer, a collaboration between Juniors and Other Half Brewing out of Brooklyn. I have to say, Brian, one of the emails we got, they don't feel they got the money's worth out of your ad read last week because of your voice condition. Somewhat understandable. So we decided to do it again this week with a different Juniors and Other Half Brewing collab. Brian, do you want to talk about their egg cream milk stout?
I would be more than happy to. Right here, Ron, is the egg cream milk stout. It is a 6.0 ABV sweet milk stout. I am using my frosted Ron and Brian podcast glass. You can see right here. There's nothing translucent about this beer. It is just dark. Even in a frosted mug, it's all light has been absorbed by this beer. It's brewed by Other Half Brewing in collaboration with the iconic New York staple Junior's Restaurant and Bakery. It's designed to mimic a classic New York City soda fountain egg cream. It's brewed with lactose, so you know Ron's going to like it. Also has vanilla and cocoa nibs, and even incorporates the iconic Fox's You Bet syrup. I'm excited. I don't know how you feel about this, Ron.
Well, I'm excited. Why don't you take a drink first, give me your thoughts, and then I'll have a sip. As many people know, Cocoa Nibs was one of your nicknames in college. Well,
I like this.
Okay.
Take a sip. Take a sip.
Right.
It's funny how last week's beer, I remember saying, felt a little watered down and I wanted more flavor.
Oh, no, that's good.
This packs of flavor.
I'm getting the lactose right on the front of my tongue.
Well, if you want, it reminds me of the time in college when I put some lactose on your tongue. Tell me, Ron.
The cocoa nibs. I'm getting the vanilla.
Yep.
This is a delicious beer.
This is
a little heavy because it's a stout and it's 6%. It's not something we're going to crush for Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
But it's the perfect beer for a rainy Northeast night, like it is tonight. We've got storm warnings, flash flood warnings. Hasn't probably hit you up there yet, but storms just blew through the Philadelphia area.
Earlier today, you mean? Because we have not had any rain today. And it's funny, a friend of the show, JJ, she was sending me, photos of her property and the effects of the rainstorms overnight. I got a video from my niece out in Long Island. Just terrible wind and rain. And we really, it's almost as if God looked down on the earth and said, I want the Northeast, New York City, tri-state area, including Philly adjacent, to just be swamped with a torrential storm on July 4th. But then he just parted. He just got in there. He got in there, Ron, and he just parted the clouds. He got in there. He just got in there, and he was just like, I want West New York. I want West New York to just have calm, beautiful weather. And then he gave it a little kiss. Gave a little kiss to West New York, because that is how God loves West New York.
That your hand movements just now were very disturbing. Normally, I would say, folks, if you're not watching the video, you're missing out. But you're actually a little bit safer this week for not having seen Brian and his hand motions.
To close out Drink of the Week, or I don't know if you have more of this. This is a delicious beer, and I'm going to say I'm going to drink this during the show. I'm going to want to open a second one, but I won't. I'm going to want to savor that.
Yes. I mean, this would be a good... Have you ever had a beer float, Brian?
I think I had one with when I was down in Philly. One of the many times I was invited down there.
You put a couple scoops of vanilla ice cream in this beer. I think it's fantastic.
Boy,
Maybe
if
we'll
that's
try
not
that
going to
with
give me,
the next one.
if that won't give me diarrhea, I can't imagine. Like it's like Indian street food or vanilla ice cream inside of a beer. Like one of those is going to give me just literally dysentery. Leaning toward the Indian street food, but I can also say the ice cream and the beer will also get some rumblings.
All right, there you go. Well, let's keep it going here tonight. It's time for Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I think that my beef of this week is going to it's going to end with the silver lining. So just follow me as we go through the roller coaster of emotions that is my beef of the week. July 4th is, it's the second most important holiday of the year to me. Everybody knows, loyal fans of the show know, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Correct.
However, my second favorite is July 4th. It is Independence Day. And as somebody who is married to a proud British citizen, it gives me the opportunity to just be as brash and as obnoxious as I can be, to just remind her and the world that this is one of the days that we set aside to remind the world just how incredible the United States is. Now, I saw a great tweet yesterday that basically said it is possible to love America and hate the current administration. And you want to know something? That defines my outlook on things. I love this country. It's not perfect. There are ways we can improve. I do not approve of the current administration, but that doesn't make me any less of a patriot. In fact, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna hug the flag, because that's what Donald Trump does. He hugs the flag. So I'm gonna. Anyway, so to make a long story short, one of the things that you think of when you think of July 4th, right off the bat, hot dogs, hamburgers, but if you're not interested in eating animal carcass, it's the fireworks. And New York City is known for its incredible July 4th fireworks show. Macy's puts it on with the Grucci family, have been doing it for the past 50 years. This year is the 250th anniversary of America. 250 years ago, Declaration of Independence, when we, the Americans, looked at the oppressors, the British, and said, "Ye must be gone, ye must leave." Anywho, okay, so yesterday, so I know the fireworks, they announced they were going to announce them. They were going to be on the east side of Manhattan, where I would not get a view, but you were also going to see them because they were going to be in New York Harbor down by the Statue of Liberty. So I knew we weren't going to get a great view, but I've been receiving all these emails from my property manager, from my local councilman, basically saying, road closures were going to be taking part. Be careful. Don't, make sure you avoid the roads. You're not going to be able to drive out of, my West New York hamlet because of the fireworks. So at about 9:15, 9:20, my lady and I left my apartment, walked all the way to the waterfront. I mean, we were exhausted by the time we got there. I was a little upset at her because she didn't wear the proper shoes. I was just like, you knew we were going to have a long walk to the water. Why on earth would you wear something that was visually stunning but impractical?
Sure.
So we get to the waterfront at 9:30 when the fireworks show goes off, and we can't see a damn thing. There are no visuals of fireworks from our vantage point in West New York. You could just sense the level of disappointment that people had, because you could see people who had shown up, sat on the waterfront, on the promenade, had chairs, we had cameras. People were all ready. Last year, the fireworks were on the Hudson, down closer to Hoboken. We still had a lovely view. It wasn't particularly close, but still lovely. So people were so excited, and unfortunately, there were no fireworks. No, this had nothing to do with the new building. We were on the other side of it. We were on the water. There were no fireworks. People at 9:05 started to walk away. 9:10, 9:35 they were walking by. 9:10, really, the area started to empty out. I looked at my lady and I said, you know what? We can't see the fireworks from where we are. Let's do the only thing that normal people would do, because I'm trying to silver line the whole issue. Everything
Sure.
that should be bad is should. I said, let's walk over
You
to
want
Ben
to
and
give her the
Jerry's.
America you always dreamed of.
And what do you do on July 4th? You eat ice cream. So I took her over to the local Ben and Jerry's a couple blocks away, and we got some ice cream. We're walking back to the Ivory McTower, and at that point, did I feel so much better, because I saw all the people that had been standing on the waterway looking at an empty sky suddenly getting into their cars in a parking lot, honking, getting angry at each other. I saw a line about 25 people who were there to try to pay their parking ticket so they could get out of the parking lot. Now, I can't even imagine how far they drove to West New York to see fireworks. They paid for parking. You want to know something? It wasn't so bad. She and I left at 9:30, got some ice cream, and came home. That is how my brain is going to wrap it up. But if I can't see the fireworks, why wouldn't they just announce it? Why don't they say, hey, fireworks are going to be on the east side. We're going to have no visibility here on the Hudson. You have no reason to come down and watch the fireworks. The amount of police presence that was on the boardwalk, the amount of protective tape that was around buildings, ludicrous. Money was just wasted. However, I got ice cream. So
no fireworks, but ice cream. What flavor of ice cream? Don't leave us hanging on the details.
I do a double scoop, one scoop of chocolate chip cookie dough, and one scoop of chocolate peanut butter. I think there's a term, I don't remember, but it's chocolate with peanut butter inside.
All right, not too bad.
Excuse me, mister. I know ice cream better than you. What would your go-to be at Ben and Jerry's?
My go-to everything but the is a good one. I like their Monster Mint. I'm just saying, I'm not a huge fan of peanut butter in my ice cream. That's the only place you lose me.
Peanut butter with chocolate ice cream, the combo. It's like if you like a Reese's peanut butter cup, why would you not enjoy that ice cream? Because you get that cold chocolate flavor, then you get the little salty flavor of the peanut. Just delicious. But you would go different. Doesn't make you any worse of a person than I am. But all joking aside, Ron, what's bothering you this week?
What bothered me was the heat this week. We obviously had a bit of a heat wave here in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast for the last few days. Last 4 days, the hottest 4 days in a row in July in Philadelphia history. So we were above 100 degrees every single day. Just brutal weather. Air conditioning could barely touch this weather at times. And I'm just, I like a hot day. I like a day in the 80s. Excuse me, maybe low 90s. But don't give me anything in the low 100s. That's just, that's insane.
But not only that, but it's also like once the temperature gets up there, and the thing about the Northeast now, it's a lot more humid than it used to be. Like I feel like, 20 years ago, our summers, they were hot, but they wouldn't have this crazy humidity that now we have all summer long. I feel like we used to have like a 2-week stretch where things were humid. Now our entire summer is humid. A lot of people blame the corn that's grown in the Midwest that puts out the carbon dioxide into the air. Fact check me on that, Matt. Please fact check me. I could be wrong on it. But you walk out of the house. It was one day this week when I left the house to go to work. Unlike you, Ron, who just stays in the safety of his home office, never leaves the house because he's afraid of human beings. I actually traveled outside to go to my office.
Sure.
And as soon as you walk out, immediately you feel that initial layer of perspiration cover your body. And because the humidity is so high, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So it just stays there. It can't evaporate. And then literally just the swampy armpits with the shirt stuck to your back because it's sweaty. It's
and it's
terrible.
not like you don't need assistance sweating. Like,
No,
that has been
no.
long documented. Now, I will ask you this. You've been on medication recently to control your sweating. Did
Sure.
you notice any difference in this 100-degree weather, or is the medicine not even enough to touch that?
It's just like my air conditioner, who's like, I'll set it to 74, but in this temperature, it's not getting below 78. It ain't happening. So
Right.
Mayor Mamdani asking us to set our thermostats to 79. He'll be happy with my air conditioner right now.
There you go.
But no, the sweat is real.
And then storms all across the country, it seems. I mean,
Yeah.
really just ridiculous weather. And even tonight down in Mexico, I'm seeing that the Mexico-England game is now pushed to a 9 p.m. start due to thunderstorms rolling through Mexico City at the moment. So
Really?
apparently some question as to whether that game will be played tonight or not.
Well, on my iPad, it looks like they're on the field, so it looks like they're preparing.
All right. Well, let's hope so. Well, that way, folks, you can still catch the podcast and later on watch the World Cup game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey. So, Brian, let's get in. 21 minutes in, and we're still not even into stories yet. So let's get into our stories. Let's start with our stories of the week. Those are the stories that we catch. We comfort them, we nestle them against our bosom, and then we share them with you, our fans. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
My story of the week, it's one of the dicing lines of our current society, which is hypocrisy in our politics. I am a proud New Jersey resident, and we are represented here in the Garden State by, I believe it's a representative, possibly a senator. He's a representative, Tom Keene Jr.
Yes.
He's not the guy that signed my, no, I did Robert Menendez. Anyway.
Yeah, he did not. Robert Menendez signed your paperwork there, yeah.
God, yes, my green card work. So here is Tom Keene Jr., son of famed New Jersey Governor Tom Keene, who I think I respected. Anyway, this guy, he's in the House of Representatives. In March, he goes missing, as in stops attending all congressional activities, does not show up for votes, doesn't participate in committee meetings. His staff do not issue any statements as to where he is or why he is missing, simply that he is going through a personal matter, and that all will be revealed when he returns. So March, he's missing. April, a complete no-show. May, complete no-show. June, complete no-show. Early July, this guy suddenly reappears. I believe actually it was June 30th, now that I see the article. On June 30th, Representative Tom Keene Jr. comes back to the House of Representatives, gets up on the floor, and talks about how he went through a personal health crisis. He was diagnosed with depression by his doctors, and how this is not a disease that people should take lightly. He's had some stupid quotes, and I'm only saying stupid not because of the mental health, but because of who this is. He says, many people think it is feeling sad. It is so much more than that. Until you experience it yourself, it is hard to understand how powerful this illness is. 100% correct. He is spot on. I want to support this man for supporting mental health issues. However, suddenly and immediately, you are reminded of just who he is. This man took over 4 months paid leave from Congress. His job was never at stake. He never missed a paycheck. His health insurance covered everything because he's a member of Congress. Yet this man is the same man who, when he was in the New Jersey State Senate, voted against New Jersey Bill A-1827, which guaranteed 5 days of paid sick leave for state workers. So he actually sat there and said that people should not be receiving just 5 days of paid sick leave, whereas he took 4 months paid leave for health issues. The very fact that he is not immediately standing up and saying all people should have paid health leave, that all people should have health care to protect themselves from mental health and illnesses, that the very fact that he enjoyed the benefits of the health insurance that is provided, while at the same time he has actively fought to ensure that New Jersey residents, and I'm sure in the U.S. Congress, American citizens, are not provided health care that they rightfully deserve because it is inconvenient for him, his political beliefs, and his lobbyists that pay him money. He is my story of the week. Don't feel bad for this man for his mental health issues, because he's a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah. I mean, we feel bad for mental health issues in general, but to your point.
Except to this guy. Except to this guy.
All right. Brian, a sad story for my story of the week, where a beloved Delaware farm owner was fatally crushed by his own camel. Here is a shot of some camels. Don't know if this is one of the culprits here, but the victim in Tuesday's fatal camel incident has been identified as Juan Carid, 65, who ran a pawn shop in Dover with his wife, Tony. Delaware State Police said Carid was tending to the animal on his Felton farm around 7 p.m. when it fell on top of him, killing him at the scene. Turns out the Carids ran a menagerie out there. They had 20 horses, 9 donkeys, and 3 couples, 3 camels, I should say, the couple had raised from babies, named Batman, Bubbles, and Chocolate. A friend described Carid as a beloved figure in the community, and police haven't said which of the 3 camels was involved or released further details.
Ooh, Jesus Christ. I mean, how do you think it landed on his head? Do you think it crushed his midsection and the internal organs? Like, how do you think he actually died?
I mean, you would have to think it would hit, from the midsection on up. I mean, these things weigh a lot. I think a camel goes like 600 or 800 pounds.
Hold on a second. I've got a theory. You tell me if this is something that you can go along with as a possibility here.
All right.
So
I'm open to it.
The man lives in what state? Delaware?
Delaware, yes.
And he's got a camel collection, we'll call it.
He's got 3 camels, yes.
Okay. Say, potentially, camels weigh 2,000 pounds. Okay.
All right.
So, now, say this man has gotten on all fours, applied a liberal amount of lubricant to his backside. The camel, knowing what nature does, what nature wants, the camel is about to mount him, because this is what the man does on Wednesday nights. The camel is about to mount him when the camel's hoof slips on some of the lube that he spilled on the floor, drops all 2,000 pounds onto him, crushes him to death immediately. Do you think that could be why it happened?
I mean, I think anything is possible. And if that were the case, it would certainly stand to reason why the police have not released additional details at the moment.
It's a little suspicious, right?
It's a little suspicious that, and this is the problem with today's society is if you don't put the facts out there, this is where people start to postulate about what exactly might have gone on. Interesting.
I'm just saying that it's a possibility.
No, and I'm agreeing with you. Normally, I would just brush it off as your typical rantings, but I would say, given the nature of our society these days,
sure,
I would say that there's a better than 0 chance that that's a possibility.
I'll accept it. I accept that. I accept that. Ron, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Where were you Friday night?
Friday night. Where was I Friday night?
Were you at Madison Square Garden celebrating the famed nuptials? Because I remember you were writing 13 on your hand. Tay-Tay, you were a fan when the Eras movie came out. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift getting married at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Ron, right. Did you attend? People are saying that you showed up wearing your podcast championship belt, ducked in it. You were in a tuxedo with the belt around your chest. How was it? How was the event?
due to that, I did not clear the metal detectors. I was not able to make it into the event.
Oh, what a shame.
But no, I will say this. So my wife, as we have discussed previously, is a huge Swiftie. And
Sure.
she went the complete gamut of emotions over the last couple of weeks because, you know, when it first started being tossed around that they were renting Madison Square Garden, you know, it starts, well, you know, they're probably not doing it there. It's probably just a decoy so they can get
Sure.
married quietly somewhere else. And then it's like, well, they're probably already married, so there's probably maybe it's a concert that she's going to be
Sure.
doing there. And then it went to, well, you know, I'm hearing now that she's going to start her own music label because that's just the obvious next step in her empire now that she owns her own masters is she's
Sure.
going to start her own record company, and Ed Sheeran's going to sign with her, and all these other people are going to sign with her. And then, you know, again, going closer, man, she's really, you know, she maybe 1,000 theories. And then like you see the Instagram post come out Friday night, like, yeah, they just had their wedding at Madison Square Garden and Adam Sandler officiated. And she's like, well, that makes sense because, you know, she's one of the most famous, richest people in the world. You know, where else could she go? And you know, we haven't seen any photos of her wedding. And I'm
Sure.
thinking to myself, there are a lot of very rich and or very famous people in the world that have gotten married in other remote locations.
Sure.
It seems like the people of New York City are not huge fans of Taylor and Travis based off of the chaos that surrounded Madison Square Garden on Friday night.
You know what? I'm going to just say this. The fact that she had it done during the World Cup, where the streets of New York around Madison Square Garden, which is just above Penn Station, which is where New Jersey Transit trains exit, streets have been closed off for World Cup games and crowd control purposes and whatnot. This, whatever road closures that were put into effect as part of the protocol for this wedding, absolutely nothing out of the norm for what's taken place multiple times in the past 2 weeks for the World Cup. This, you know, what I suspect in all honesty is that a lot of the people you are seeing on social media complaining about this are not actual New Yorkers. Because the truth be told is, on a Friday, on July 4th weekend, there are not a lot of people in New York. Most people leave New York for the weekend. And also, they're not going into Midtown. So most people are not.
It's the same people living in a double wide in Kentucky that were complaining about Mayor Mamdani when he got
Correct. Absolutely correct. It's just, I don't think these are New Yorkers that are genuinely complaining. I believe, I don't know whether I mentioned it to you or I was talking to somebody else about it, but it was like, what I find so interesting, and I understand the power dynamic in their relationship, where she is literally a billionaire, music, probably the biggest music star that we have in our lifetime right now, and he is a fading football player. Not to besmirch what he's
but he's on the
accomplished
tail end. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he is definitely on the tail end of his career.
He's the tail end. But what I find
there
so interesting,
there is a net worth gap there that's fairly significant as well.
Very similar proportionately to between you and your wife. Like, we know she makes her own money,
sure,
and you make less than that, but you know, you still hold your head up high. But what I find interesting is there's no hate for Travis Kelce. Nobody's sitting there being like, fucking Travis Kelce caused us to like shut off 34th Street and I can't drive across Midtown. Fuck Travis Kelce. I did not hear one thing bad about Travis Kelce this week. I heard a lot of bitching about Taylor Swift, and it's just like, what's going on here, people? Because they both are getting married.
Well, and I think, you know, and I think this kind of falls on a lot of grooms. You know, the assumption is that the bride is doing 99% of the work for the wedding, and then, you know, some people are just expected to like read an agenda and show up at the correct time, and then maybe, just maybe, have had the wherewithal to get a card to give his wife on the day of their wedding. But yes, Janelle, Adam Sandler did officiate, apparently.
Yes.
He and Travis Kelce got to be friends during the filming of Happy Gilmore 2. And so what people are saying is that was the one thing that Taylor let Travis pick. Everything else she decided on.
Do you made a comment earlier this week, and I'm wondering if you were joking or whether you're serious. Do you believe that this was filmed for some type of wide release? Or do you think this is just because there's so many stars in that room? I've heard that Paul McCartney and his band played "I Want to Hold Your Hand." Supposedly hasn't been played in like 50 years, performed by McCartney. Like, I can't imagine that this moment was not captured for some type of release to the public.
Yeah, and again, she's a businesswoman. She's free to do what
Incredible.
she wants.
Yes.
I can't imagine that you go through this level of secrecy because, again, to this day, I don't think we've seen any photos anywhere.
I saw there's a couple in the Daily Mail, which I do not subscribe to, so I couldn't get in. But apparently the Daily Mail has some photos inside Madison Square Garden, not during the ceremony, but during the setup. There were 4 workers from Madison Square Garden who were thrown out because they were caught taking photos. I don't know if one of them leaked photos to the Daily Mail, but supposedly the Daily Mail has some photos on their website, but I can't get in there and see them.
Now, we were giving my wife a hard time the other day, but I would not at all be surprised if this wedding is, you can go to your local movie theater, or you can, it'll be a Disney Plus special. It's going to be monetized in some way, shape, or form. With the argument being, well, our fans really would want to see this, and they obviously weren't there to share our special day. So for just a small subscription fee of $4.95, you can subscribe to the new Taylor TV streaming network and catch our wedding in full.
But I could also see, based on what I've heard about her, and obviously some celebrities donate money in private. Some people make a very big show of it. But she seems, and also she seems to be very giving with her money. I could absolutely see her doing some kind of we're going to show this in movie theaters, or we're going to stream it on Disney, and whatever money she makes or proceeds or whatnot are going to go to some kind of charities. Or you know what I mean?
Prior to the wedding, Dolly Parton announced that Taylor and Travis had donated $2 million to her Imagination Library. I assume 1,995,000 came from Taylor, and Travis kicked in the extra 5. They gave $1 million to food banks in Reading, PA, where she's from. So she's very generous with her money. I will give.
So I could see that if they do release it for some type of a subscription cost or whatnot, that they're going to say this whatever money we make is going to, after costs and whatnot, are going to go to charity or whatnot. And I don't have a problem with it. I really don't.
Do you think, because a lot of her songs came from heartbreak and failed relationships, do you think there's a possibility that she never has a hit album again? I
don't know. The last one was just, I will be brutally honest, I've not listened to a lot of her music. I have not been exposed to a lot of her music. It seems like a lot of sugary bubblegum pop music, which is just not, I'm not the target market for it. It does not connect with me.
You don't buy it.
But I remember the last album she came out with, you and I did we promised we would listen to it.
We listened to Tortured Poets Department. That was prior to Life of a Showgirl, which was her actual last release. But prior to that we listened to Tortured Poets Department.
I was tortured listening to it, Ron. It was god awful. Like musically, I remember.
It definitely wasn't poppy. It wasn't pop music. It was
very ethereal.
It was a funeral dirge listening to that.
Oh, it was terrible. So she came out with another album of new stuff, and we didn't listen to it.
So that was, remember when my wife dragged me out to the album premiere at the movie theater? That was for Life of a Showgirl, where I was in a movie theater with a bunch of 11 and 12-year-old girls and drunk moms watching this album release movie at noon on a Saturday.
Where they had to turn the lights on because you had undone yourself?
That didn't happen, no.
No?
I will say this. I did like Life of a Showgirl. Like there's some bangers on there. Again, not your scene. I get that. You have an issue with strong women. I get that too. So, but just I like that album. But it'll be interesting to see how that. And again, technically, she doesn't need to work again for the rest of her life.
Sure, good for her.
I mean, neither does Travis. I think they said Travis is worth $100 million, and she's worth in the ballpark of $2 billion.
Yeah.
With a B.
Listen, when she announced that last tour, what was it, the Eras tour?
Yes.
That was an eye-opening moment for me. For me, in understanding how powerful of a force she is in entertainment. When she announced multiple stadium dates per city that sold out within minutes. People were complaining about systems crashing. Ticketmaster took a lot of heat. I believe there were even some congressional hearings due to the complaints. The resale price of her tickets were in the thousands to be in the building. And then also the thing that really was the communities of fans that would that show up to the stadiums without tickets just to sit outside the stadium and sing along.
Yep.
There were thousands of people doing it in every town, in every concert. Listen, I like a lot of loud rock band. There's nobody showing up to hang outside. I can guarantee you that. So
and the money that was generated in the communities that her concerts were in, hotel revenues were historically high in the time. Like when she was here in Philadelphia for a weekend, Philadelphia hotels sold out with, average rates, twice as high as normally.
Sure.
Restaurants, bars, shops packed. To the point that is, she actually contributed to the gross domestic product. I think was the point of this conversation.
Which is
and that's a lot for one tour to do.
Absolutely. So, the people who have hate for Taylor Swift, do not count me on. I don't like her music. I'm not a fan, but I will say this: I respect the shit out of her as a human being.
There you go.
And also, if she would like, you mentioned Dolly Parton's Imagination Foundation library. What was it?
The Imagination Library.
Okay, Dolly Parton's got an Imagination Library. I have an imaginary donation foundation, which if Taylor Swift wants to donate money to, it is the Help the Cult of Ron and Brian Foundation donation library. And if they want to give money to it, it goes to a great cause. It'll pay off my mortgage.
There you go. And you don't need $2 million. You take 200,000. But you're not
happy
selfish.
to. I'd be happy to.
Next up, Brian, Waffle House is being sued for discriminating against smoking employees. Now, you're an HR person, so I'm going to be kind of curious to get your take on this. A former Georgia Waffle House server, Corkeitha Hicks, filed a class action lawsuit claiming the chain illegally charged tobacco-using employees an extra $92 a month for health insurance without properly offering the legally required reasonable alternative wellness program to avoid the fee. The suit alleges Waffle House pocketed the surcharge into its own accounts rather than the health plan, profiting off of employees who smoke. More than $5 million is reportedly at stake if it proceeds as a nationwide class action.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of companies doing this. I've spoken to insurance brokers. Let's be brutally honest. Smokers, people who do smoke cigarettes and smoke tobacco are statistically going to generate a higher level of medical claims than non-smokers. Those medical claims do tax a business. People who smoke are going to cost that company more when it comes to the medical insurance. And at the same time, I'm just going to say this from a personal perspective. I work in the construction industry. There are a lot of smokers in this industry, which is why whenever I've had an insurance broker come and say, hey, listen, if you want, we can actually, enforce where people need to fill out their enrollment forms and check off a box where it says whether they are a tobacco smoker or not. And if they are, you can actually charge them a higher monthly premium. And I have just steered clear to it because it is going to be insanely unpopular with my workforce, and I want no part of it.
And I get it. So many things that people do these days apart from smoking that contribute to an unhealthy lifestyle. So
you and I podcast. We do a podcast once a week. Yeah. I mean, exactly. I'm not being charged more for podcasting.
All right. Next up, Brian, the eye gouging killer has been sentenced to life.
Ooh.
This is Robert Brandon Keller, age 32. He was found guilty on all 10 counts, including malice and felony murder, for fatally stabbing Bruce Dupree, a stranger who'd given him a ride during a 2024 carjacking in Georgia. After his arrest, Keller gouged out both of his own eyeballs and bit off part of his tongue, reportedly hoping it would get him sent to a medical facility instead of prison. He was deemed competent to stand trial anyway. At sentencing, Keller rambled that he was a, quote, divine being present by special presentation. He got 2 consecutive life sentences plus 25 years. Now, listen, I think people can fake a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I think if you're willing to go the route of taking out your own eyes and biting off your tongue, maybe we put you in a mental institute for the rest of your life, mind you. But
Can you just imagine the actual act of digging
can't.
out of? I can't even like
I can't
when
remove a splinter, Brian. You think I'm going to pull my eyeball out?
when I go to the eye doctor for an eye exam and they do that like glaucoma test where they put the little blue thing on your eyeball.
Yeah.
I literally, I'm like, blinking, like the doctor has to
I
hold
don't
it
wear
open.
contact lenses because I can't picture putting a lens in my eyelid.
Amen. To stick your index finger in that little gap and just reach in behind to pop it out. God, that is devotion to a premise that I am not capable of. Listen, does this guy deserve to be in prison for the rest of his life?
Sure.
Absolutely. I mean, if I were him, I would be really afraid to go into the showers in prison now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go in there, you've got people, like walking around. First off,
he hasn't been blind long enough for his other senses to adapt.
Sure.
So it's not like a Daredevil type situation where he's going to hear people coming up behind him.
Oh my God! Look at that. He can't even properly comb his hair now. Gosh, I feel so bad for him.
Well, feeling bad, relative.
Sure. Granted.
All right, Brian, a Pennsylvania dad high on THC left his baby in a hot car for hours and is now charged with murder. Daniel Jeffrey Moist, real unfortunate last name, age 38, is charged with third-degree murder after his 14-month-old daughter died in his Ford Explorer's back seat in an unshaded Bethlehem, PA parking lot for roughly 6 hours while he was at work. He bought THC vape cartridges 2 days prior, and toxicology found active marijuana compounds in his system. Investigators said a rear seat mirror was hanging in the vehicle that would have let him see her. The DA didn't hold back, saying, quote, when he closed that door, she was condemned to death in that hot sun.
Do you think, how bad of a way to die do you think that is? I mean, I know we as a society, really?
Gotta be one of the worst. I gotta think so, because it's painful and it's extended. Like, how long do you think that process takes? It's got to be a few hours.
I don't know. I just feel like it's got to be bad.
But Pennsylvania wasn't alone, because a Plantation, Florida father believed he had dropped his 18-month-old son off at a daycare that morning, went to work, then returned that evening for pickup, only to discover the boy had been in the car the entire day and died from the heat. The daycare director said the family hadn't been flagged as missing because the parents had already called in to say the older sibling wouldn't be attending, so staff assumed both kids were out that day. Temperatures hit the mid-90s. So how? I mean, again, it's damaging to start off with, but to know that, but how? I'm sorry. Now I'm even getting more confused. How can you get in your car after work, and now your dead child is in the back seat, and you drive to the daycare, and you don't notice it all?
Didn't he get the smell? Like he didn't like smell it when he got in his car? Because I imagine the kid expels itself, during those death throes. I imagine at some point, the bowels just like release.
You would think so, but who knows?
What a terrible way to go.
Let's stay in Florida for one more story. This is Reagan Cox, age 30, She was arrested for resisting arrest during a Brevard County traffic stop, and during jail intake, a body scanner flagged an abnormality in her nether regions. When deputies had her move her hand, a baggie with 3.8 grams of cocaine dropped to the floor. Her explanation: someone must have left it in there during a, quote, intimate encounter. She picked up an extra felony charge for smuggling contraband into a detention facility and was released the same day. Anybody named Reagan, you got to watch out for.
How much do you think she charges for her OnlyFans?
I mean, more now because she's got the sport kit. I mean, I'm going $14.99 a month.
I agree with you. I think I would go like $10.99.
$10.99. Well, the money is through like the messaging and the
tips,
privates, and all that.
Yes.
All right. Well, Brian, as we know, we've mentioned it before. It's the July 4th weekend, and what is one of the great American traditions of July 4th?
Fireworks
And Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Of course.
We had 2 repeat champions.
Yep.
Joey Jaws Chestnut won his 18th mustard belt at the Coney Island 4th of July Classic, downing 66 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes, despite 92-degree heat that he admitted slowed him down. He beat runner-up Patrick Bertoletti by 15 dogs. In the women's division, Miko Sudo took her 12th title and 5th straight, eating 38.75 dogs to beat runner-up Michelle Lesko. It marked Chestnut's 2nd straight win since returning from a 2024 sponsorship dispute ban.
Ron, I'm sorry. I was not listening to a word you just said, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay, please.
Because you have a nicer championship belt than either of these 2 hot dog eating champions. Hold up your belt right now for me, if you don't mind, because I'm going to tell you something. These belts don't have anything on you. That, what you are holding over your shoulder, those 6 pounds of gold, that is a higher quality belt than Nathan's was able to generate for these 2 champions. They're champions, but not at your level.
You would think, with the amount of money Nathan's pulls in, that they could afford to do a nicer title belt.
Correct. That looks like something that like the ACW, like a backyard federation would generate in Georgia. GC Extreme Wrestling. That looks like yours is classy. Yours is elegant, distinguished. I'm very disappointed by Nathan's here. Almost as disappointed as I am. I can't even imagine eating that many hot dogs. And keep in mind, they're soaking the buns in water, so you also have that much water into your system, and you have to hold that into your stomach while you're still on stage. You're not allowed to expel it.
I think you got. I think if you throw up within like 5 or 10 minutes after the contest, you get disqualified.
There's a great purge behind the stage, isn't there? I just imagine after,
especially if you don't win. If you don't win, you got to be like, well, why am I keeping this stuff in right now?
Oh, can you imagine? I mean, just the amount of salt these 2 put into their system. I'd be drinking water for days.
I mean, kudos to people for still showing up, knowing that there's no chance you're going to beat either of these individuals.
No,
like one of them would have to be a really. I don't know how close the women's competition was, but 15 hot dogs, like that's impressive to win by that.
There was one point, and I watched it while eating hot dogs. I'd like to point out I had hot dogs for lunch with the lady, and it was on. In fact, William Esquire, when he texted the group chat and saying, hey, who's watching the hot dog? I was like, oh, it's on right now. I got to put it on. I literally was grilling up 2 hot dogs in my kitchen.
There you go.
But I'm going to say this to you. There was a moment where I think Chestnut was at 22 or 24, and I looked to see who was last on the ranking. There was somebody at 8.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine somebody like...
There's got to be people who just go just to be part of it. Like, I'm probably going to have 20 hot dogs, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, and they just... and they know they're not competitive in a competitive eating contest. The irony. However, they're still having fun.
Right. Oh, they're doing the national anthems at the England versus Mexico match. What? So is it "God Save the Queen"? That's the anthem for England.
God save the king. Show some respect for King Charles.
I forgot. I'm sorry.
Show some respect for King Charles.
All right. What's the national anthem for Mexico?
La cucaracha, yo no tiene caminar, porque no falta.
I was going to go Macarena, but I suppose that would be.
That's right. Ron, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What are you watching?
What are we watching? So what did we watch this week? Started watching on the Peacock Network. It's a new show called Apples Don't Fall. Yeah, Apples Don't Fall. So it is. It's a multi-episodic drama. It's got Annette Bening is in it. It's got who is the guy from Jurassic Park? Sam, I can't remember his whole name, but he's in it. It's got a fairly good lineup of very recognizable faces. So,
and where is it on?
It's on the Peacock Network.
Peacock, okay.
Yes. So we're 4 episodes in. Other than that, watched a lot of World Cup soccer over the past.
Same. I've watched a lot. I will say this. 4 years ago, I believe I was lately dating my future wife. And I remember watching some of the games, but when you're in an initial relationship, you don't really want to come on too strong as a sports fan because you just, you don't want to be labeled, all he does is watch sports and I can't deal with him and I have no interest. So I was really putting my best foot forward. So I think I very lightly watched the World Cup 4 years ago. I'm all in this year.
Yes, agreed.
I'm all in.
It's Sam Neill.
Correct.
Thank you.
Which is funny because that was your nickname in college when people would be like, Ron, please Sam Neill on your right now because I need you to take care of me. Anyway, but it was a little. One thing I like about the World Cup is that they don't is up until that last game of the third of the group stage.
Right.
They don't schedule 2 games at the same time. So they're
right.
So it's staged across throughout the day, so you can literally watch the World Cup all day.
Yes.
I've tried to watch this.
Now I find I'm disappointed that there's only 2 games a day.
Same. I will be disappointed.
What happens to 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. just being able to watch soccer?
Of course. I mean, you're just going to have to masturbate. So I'm watching as many games on, and I will say this: as a sport, not incredibly exciting. This is not like Stanley Cup hockey. This is not the NBA Finals. You're going to sit there for 78 minutes and not watch a single goal. However, the beauty of the sport, and I'll admit, after this, I'm not watching third tier English soccer at this point. But it is sitting there trying to find the crack in the defense. You are looking for that moment when, much like God parted the skies over the ivory tower earlier on the show. You're looking for that moment where the defense breaks just enough for the ball to go through and a player to get a good shot. So that is what these guys are playing for. I cannot imagine the level of frustration these guys feel. To be literally, and obviously I don't experience it. I've had bad days at work. I've never cried. Watching the players from Brazil breaking down in tears, legitimate tears. These aren't crocodile tears like you produce. Literal tears over having disappointed themselves, their coaches, their families, their country by getting kicked out in the round of 16. I can't wait for it, and I'm going to be very disappointed when it leaves. But yeah, all about the World Cup.
You've got a team like Cape Verde, who got a hero's welcome back in their country because smallest country ever to score a goal in a knockout round in a World Cup, and they took Argentina to the wire.
Correct.
Multi-time champion Argentina.
Defending champions.
The point of it not being exciting at times, we were watching the France-Paraguay game yesterday, and around an hour in, my wife was like, is somebody going to score? This is mind-numbingly boring. And it ended up being a 1-0 game. So it can just as easily be a 4-3 game as it can be a 1-0 game.
But then there are the games where at least, and this is one of the things that I did not realize when I started to get into soccer a year ago, when I started getting into the Liverpool game, is that in a regular soccer game, they just play two 45-minute halves and call it quits. It's a draw. It's a draw. No winners. No winners. Here, they'll play 30 minutes of extra time. And if their score is still tied, you're going to have penalty kicks. The stakes are so insane in a World Cup elimination game when they're go to penalty kicks. I don't deal with that level of stress, so I'm quite I'm quite happy that I don't. What else is there? Anything else you guys were watching? Because I got a couple things.
I just want to say thank you, Billy, for correcting me. It was a 1-0 match. I do like using nil now.
You like nil? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what did I watch? The lady and I knocked out, in addition to obviously all the World Cup, we knocked out the new season of The Bear on Hulu. They dropped season 5. It is, I'm going to say, a huge disappointment.
Really? It's one of the higher ranked ones on IMDb.
Ron, hear me out on this.
All right.
It all takes place in one day.
So kind of like The Pit.
8 episodes. It starts off with, ooh, are we going to have service today? 4 episodes of, ooh, service is really rough. 2 episodes of, whoo, we survived service. 1 finale episode of, what are we all going to do after today? I just couldn't. I couldn't. The characters aren't engaging anymore because it's all in one day. There's no character development. You don't see the characters grow the way they did in seasons 1 and 2. Could not have been more disappointed. I remember last season I was already feeling this show just doesn't have what it used to have. Season 5 definitely was a disappointment. House of Dragons has returned. Game of Thrones prequel. This is season 2, maybe 3, don't remember. Episodes 1 and 2 have already been released. They're releasing 3 now. Totally confused. Don't know who is who. Who's the sea snake and whatnot. I have no idea what's going on. I'm watching it because it's interesting. I remember a couple of the characters. Not going to watch previous episodes to get a reminder course. Just going with the flow. Larry David has a new show on HBO that premiered a week ago. I fell asleep last week while watching it after the podcast. We'll probably have to rewatch it. It seemed interesting. I remember chuckling to it a couple times, but we can move on from there. And I also watched, based on your recommendation, the Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova documentary on, I think it's Netflix.
Netflix,
You know what? As somebody who grew up in the 80s and was peripherally aware of the tennis world, really such a great documentary that gives you such an insight into who these two fierce competitors were, entering a sport which had for the most part been ignored by sports fans for generations because it was women that were competing, and really brought such a sportsmanship to the forefront that people were forced to be fans because they couldn't ignore it. They couldn't sit there and be like,
the talent level.
They were so good at it. The WNBA strives for what Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova, and also the story. And keep in mind, I was a kid when this was going on. I didn't realize that they had initially been friends, and then their friendship ended because of the rivalry between the two of them. And then how, as human beings, they kind of, matured to the point where friendship was necessary, just because they realized, competition isn't important. Friends are more important. And then now, as they both are going through very similar health issues, I'm so happy you turned me on to that, because it's an hour and a half. It's not like a 6-part, commitment.
It's an easy watch.
I recommend it.
Tell me if you found this surprising too. Is she obviously she defects from Czechoslovakia and becomes an American citizen very early. but she
embracing
was never,
America,
but she
embracing
was
America.
never, but in her at her peak, she was never really packaged and sold as an American. Like
She
she was
was
always portrayed as this foreigner beating, American players.
she was covered by the press so negatively
Yeah.
because she was born in another country and treated not just differently but treated with a snide, with sneering, that she was enjoying the perks of America during a time where this was the Cold War. And
Right.
we should have been encouraging people to defect. We should have been encouraging their athletes, their stars, their entertainers to defect. She was treated like she was some kind of evil force because
Yeah.
how dare this woman grow up behind the curtain wall, come to this country, and then make money and wear jewelry and drive Porsches. Meanwhile, all of her competitors were wearing the jewelry, and much like you were, driving the Porsches, unlike you were. But like, it was just odd how like they were showing the media coverage of her was like, how dare this woman, like enjoy America, when you would think the flip side would have been, oh my gosh, look at this foreigner enjoying America because we're great, because we have so much to offer. And that was just not the tone of the media at the time.
All right. Anything else?
No, not at all. Other than, I mean, can you mention the Patreon? I've spoken to a lot of people over the last couple of weeks.
Let's knock out
What?
our final three stories. Let's knock them
We have
out real
stories.
quick, and
Go.
then we'll promote the Patreon.
Got it.
So, Brian, an Australian man charged with murdering a teen in Thailand may be linked to other deaths.
Uh-oh.
This is Simon Peter Carman, an Australian national. He has been charged with murder and concealing a body after a 17-year-old Thai girl was last seen on security footage entering his Pattaya condo. He was later seen leaving alone with a large suitcase, loading it onto a motorbike and riding to a remote area. He was arrested at a Bangkok airport trying to board a flight to Perth. The suitcase containing her body was found shortly after. Thai police are now investigating whether he may be connected to other unsolved deaths in the area, and he could face the death penalty if convicted.
I'm going to say this: it is unlikely that he is a serial killer because of the amateur nature of this. You don't bring a girl home. I mean, Ron, you taught me everything I need to know about killing teenage girls. You don't bring the girl home to your apartment in a building that has security cameras. You don't leave with a
Amateur
suitcase.
stuff.
You're going to be caught on camera entering your domicile with her. She never leaves. I mean, the evidence is right there. Then you don't flee the country because it just screams guilt. That is not somebody who has done this before and gotten away with it. The part of this story that really surprises me is that you had told me that if we went to Thailand, we could kill teenage girls because it wasn't a crime because we were Westerners.
Well, he's not a Westerner. He's from Australia. So we need to check the bylaws there.
Technicality. He probably thought he wasn't doing anything wrong.
Right. We have a follow-up to one of our But the Drag Queen stories from a while back. This is Allison Chardon, age 40, of Minnesota. She has pled guilty to third-degree criminal sexual conduct charges after sexually assaulting two 15-year-old hockey players she met in a hotel hot tub during a family staycation after telling them about marital problems and inviting one to her room following an argument with her husband.
I do remember this.
Yes. So she managed to avoid prison, getting 2 weekends in jail, probation, and a spot on the sex offender registry. Now her husband, Anthony, shown in this photo with her, has confirmed that they're still married, telling reporters they're, quote, trying to stay under the radar about all that.
I don't think I could get past this. Do you?
Yeah. No, that would be a tough one.
Hey,
And
let
then-
me ask you a question. All
Yes.
joke aside, I know you want to power through this. If this wasn't public, and nobody could Google your wife's name to find out that she did this, but somehow you find out there's no court case. You just find out your wife was on a business trip.
Right.
You guys got into a fight. She went downstairs, picked up two 15-year-olds, brought them back to the room, and they Eiffel Towered her. Could you get past that?
That'd be a tough one to get by. That'd be a very tough one to get by.
I can guarantee if you're listening
On a number of
wherever you
levels.
are,
Number of levels.
I could never get past it, let alone if she got charged and all my friends could Google this. Can you imagine the abuse this guy takes at work?
Oh, got to be brutal. Got to be brutal.
Can you imagine what the group chat is? Like, just you and I are brutal to each other, and I
Yeah.
love you. I can't even imagine what his group chat was like.
Hey, and they text him, hey, you and the wife want to come to a picnic this weekend? Keep an eye on her. We've got some 13-year-olds. Yeah, it's got to be wrong. Got to be wrong.
It's got to be so
Finally,
bad.
an Australian mom is being investigated for cannibalism after her son was found dead with a mutilated arm. A 32-year-old woman walked into a New South Wales police station and allegedly made references to cannibalism, prompting officers to rush to her home for a welfare check, where they found her 4-year-old son dead with significant arm injuries, possibly for several days. She's been charged with murder and denied bail. Her car was seized for forensic testing, and a coroner's post-mortem is pending. Police say they'd had prior contact with the family. So not only potentially killing your child, but eating your child. That is a special level of evil right there.
Jesus Christ! I mean, that's a. We need more details on this.
We'll follow up on that as they come.
Please create a Google alert
Yes.
for this woman's name. I want to know all the details as they come out.
All right. Brian, you talked about our Patreon earlier. If you are
Yes.
not a Patreon subscriber just yet, why the hell not? Go to cultofronandbrian.com, click in the upper right-hand corner to become a patron. And if you join at the $10 a month level or higher, you can join our After Dark live after this show. We're going to start in about 19 minutes. And tonight, we normally do it the last Sunday. We had we had Brian's illness that we were dealing with last week. So we're doing our pajama party tonight, where we invite all of our Patreon subscribers on to join us. And we have a trivia contest tonight. It will be Can You Beat Ron? Brian, I assume you have come up with an appropriate topic and 15 multiple choice questions that we can battle out over later.
Perhaps. We do have a great game. 15 questions lined up. Kahoot registration mandatory. This will be time based. If you're watching the show right now, please join our Patreon. If you were already a Patreon, you have already received your link to come on to the After Dark to join the show live, be part of it, play the game. $25 will go to your favorite charity if you can score more points than Ron in this game. We talk about it, people saying, how can we support the show? How can we help out? This is one of the ways. Join our Patreon. As little as $5 a month gets you the audio. $10 a month gets you the live feed of the show. Once a month, you come on the show. We hang out, we play a game, whatnot. That money that you pay towards Patreon, if you beat one of Ron during his months, or you beat during Can You Beat Brian, but that money goes towards those charities.
Right.
We are not here pocketing money. We are not getting rich off the Patreon. It is simply a way, much like Taylor Swift. I'm not saying that we are as magnanimous as Taylor Swift, but the money that comes in, it goes right back out. We are not the riches you see, Ron and I living in are not generated by this show. Any dollar that comes in goes right back out towards good causes like web hosting, StreamYard costs. Every time this ticker goes by, it's an extra 75 cents. It's not cheap, people. It adds up. No. Join the Patreon. Little by little. You want to do a $25 a month? It's a cup of coffee a week. You can really help out the rest of society. Please do it. And can also buy some cool merch if our merch store was up.
There you go. All right, well, let's wrap this up so we can get ready for said After Dark episode. Brian, anything else before we wrap up this episode?
Listen, we did 74 minutes of this show. The only thing that I would like to see right now is that closing video that Matt worked so hard on. I want to hear it right now.
All right, well, ask and ye shall receive.
Stakes rising. Orders given. Once you're in.